Hello, Sir Matt.
My dad's also very, very clever. He's very artistic. He makes dolls' houses.
I do.
You got all little panels on, haven't you?
Oh, look at that dust. The housekeeper's not been in today.
Oh, you're such a comedian. I wonder where I get it from.
I don't know.
Magnificent. Doors open, the roof comes off, doesn't it?
The other side it does, yeah.
Trouble is, it takes him about 2 years to make one, so he has to charge 15 grand per doll's house.
Competing with Harrods.
Yeah.
There was nothing formal at all about my upbringing. It was very informal, which I think has basically made me the person that I am today. It was very informal. My parents, you know, I was brought up very well. I basically, you know, as a kid, got what I wanted for Christmas and things like that. But there was no formalities. There was no airs and graces at home.
You know, most singers and musicians have a musical background of some sort. What was your musical background as a boy around here?
My mother and father, especially my mother, had a wide selection of musical tastes, and so many an evening I'd fall asleep either listening to Cliff Richard or, you know, some of the great classics. Unfortunately, as a child, I was more interested in playing football than anything else. Shame, really. I could have been a famous concert pianist. They had a huge collection of records from you know, I used to listen to a lot of the Chopin waltzes. I mean, I didn't know the music by the name, but I certainly knew it by tunes, and I was always moved by classical music, and still am, you know. Music, especially classical, makes me feel excited, and the sort of music that makes you well up when you listen to the strings beginning to swell.
Did your father and mother participate in music? Were they in choirs or in any bands or orchestras? Or...
No, my dad was a welder and my mum works at Woolworths. So apart from listening to it, they didn't really have, you know, they didn't have much to do with music as such.
And there wasn't the great influential music teacher at school who saw the talent and picked it up.
I better not tell you about my music teacher. She tried to teach me the recorder. There were, I mean, I won't name names, but there were certain teachers at school that I think kids knew that if they could take advantage as a child, you would take advantage. And unfortunately, the music teacher was one of those teachers who we all thought, yes, we can take advantage here. So we bloody well did. Which was naughty, really, wasn't it?
Well, this is Earlham End Down School, which used to be my old primary school, and believe it or not, this is Mrs. Lamb, who used to teach me when I was a naughty little boy.
You were a lovely boy to teach, lovely boy. Full of fun, very interested in lots of different things, but you could be naughty as well.
A bit like now then, Amy.
Yes, probably. You like to mess around, shall I say, sometimes, and had to be told off for doing that. But really, the school, when you were here, we're very proud of you. You played lots of football.
I did.
Can you give us some detailed description of the first job you had? What happened, what time you started and what you did and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was at a company called Sabre Repetition, and we used to start there at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'd go into a lathe, as you call them, with, like, I suppose a sort of set on it like this, with all different sort of contraptions sticking out of it, and there was a bucket at the side which was full of pieces of metal, and I picked these pieces of metal up and I put them into the top of the lathe, and it went round and a drill went in, and then it moved to the next thing and a screw went in, and then a ream went in, and then another drill, and then it popped out the other side and caught it in the other bucket, and then I put another one in and did that for 8 hours. The only reason that the foreman kept me in the job was because I made him laugh. We nicknamed him Smiler because he never did. And every morning we'd be sat in the canteen waiting, and about 5 to 8 the voice would come round the canteen door.
All right, lads, come on, let's be having you on shop floor.
Oh, bloody hell, Smiler, and we'd all reluctantly put our cups of tea down and get up. This particular morning at about 10 to 8 I thought, line these buggers up. They couldn't see me. You sort of pop your head round. You can't see who's round the door, but you can hear them. And I popped my head round and I went, all right, lads, come on. It's 10 to 8, bearing in mind 5 minutes is a lot of time in the engineering industry.
All right, lads, come on, let's be having you on the bloody shop floor. Very funny, Russell.
Who was sat in the room with the lads.
I'm just trying to get an idea of what you're doing in those years. So you're working, a lot of people would think quite hard.
Basically what I was doing in those years was as simple as this. I was going to work, coming home, getting dressed, going out, drinking.
And was singing cropping in, or music cropping in any other
singing,
than a casual way?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, it was back to the old sort of semi-acoustic guitar, and I used to jam around with a group of my pals, and you know, we used to knock out a few tunes together, like old Jam hits and old Beatles hits and stuff. We did one gig at a place called Craig Hall for a group of old people, and that was an incredible experience. Maybe we'd better not go into that.
What happened?
Well, we got on stage, and I think we were singing a Beatles cover. I can't remember. It might have been Help, probably. In fact, it probably felt like Help at the time. And at the back of the room, there's an old gentleman of probably around about 80 shuffling about. Bloody hell's he doing? Well, he only had his old fella out, didn't he? And one of the care workers went over to him and went, "Come on, Harold, put that away now, lad." And then we finished the first spot, and we're you know, sorry about that. Harold sometimes gets a little bit overexcited, and we were given tea and biscuits and told how wonderful we were.
What do you think was the time where you started to move in the direction that takes you to where you are now? When you started to sing and think, there's something in this, and the thread became a bit of string, the string became a bit of rope, and then it went on from there.
Yeah, there was a local pub competition called Piccadilly Radio Search for a Star, which basically was taking place in pubs throughout the northwest. And at the time, my wife was my girlfriend, and her family and my friends, and she was saying, "Go on, enter it, go on, go for it, just get in there." And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. You know, I don't really want to do it, because I'd not really sung in public apart from the event that I'd mentioned before at Craig Hall. But I managed to pluck up the courage, and I got on stage and basically won the first heat.
What do you sing?
Love on the Rocks by Neil Diamond. And then I went on to win the semi-final, and then I got to the final, which was judged by a phone poll. And I won, much to my surprise.
Were you still singing Neil Diamond?
I was, yeah. I sang Neil Diamond all the way through.
Love on the rocks, ain't no surprise. Just pour me a drink and I'll tell you some lies.
Russell used to come in here once a month on a Saturday to sing on the karaoke. He all sang the same song, Love on the Rocks, because he was a Neil Diamond fanatic. He sang other songs, but mainly Neil Diamond. He got his opportunity to stardom when he entered into a karaoke competition with Piccadilly Radio. He came in here, he sang his song, he won the heat and went to the final. And that is the spot where he sang his song, and he went on from there, and that's where Russell Watson's story really started.